차갑게 달려와 내일은 더 빛나지 당연해 내 삶은 shine like a diamond 괜히 해서 뭐해 걱정 I got no worries.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. My name is Monique Denton. Welcome to another episode of Sisters Inspire Sisters. I am super excited. Listen, y'all, the week went fast, okay? But today really went fast, but I was really looking forward to this conversation this evening. Let me just tell everyone, we are doing major things in Sisters Inspire Sisters Network. We are making major moves. We have the Boss Tour. We've been to Charlotte, North Carolina. We've been to Jacksonville, Florida. We'll be going to Houston, Texas. We'll be doing local events here in New York. So we are excited about all of the things that are going on in the network. And if you aren't a member yet, we encourage you to join Sisters Inspire Sisters Network. You can go to sistersinspiresisters.com/membership and get all the information that you need to know. But let's get into tonight's topic, because anytime we are talking about vision and mission and purpose, I get excited. You know, that's my thing. So tonight we have the phenomenal Miss Desiree Cocroft, MBA, okay, with us, who is going to talk about catching a vision and catching the vision of what's possible. So Desiree, I'm going to turn it over to you. First of all, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Monique.
You know, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, of course. So I hail from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Although I don't live there anymore, I live in Maryland. But most of my life, I have been encouraging people to live their best life. One of my very first jobs right out of high school was to be a teen mentor. So I was teaching middle school kids about self-esteem and self-image and decision-making.
Okay,
and it just time out then.
You have to high five on that, okay? Because I used to work for actually when they had first started it. So I worked in Parenthood as one of their first groups of teen advocates here in New York. So we have some things in common here. I love it. I love it.
Isn't it? I mean, it just started you off. I see even the glow when you're talking about it.
Exactly.
Yes, no, but it was one of my favorite jobs, and it was one of the things that made me know that I wanted to help people discover their best selves at such an early age. And so from that point on, I did work in nonprofit mostly, but I went to school for business. And I also started a nonprofit with two friends in Milwaukee, Wisconsin called Signature Dance Company. So that is a nonprofit dance company in Milwaukee that really focuses on women and girl empowerment as well as sisterhood and ministry. And so that was a big part of my life in terms of starting it and running it with friends. I'm currently the board chair of that organization now. And I currently work full time with Franklin Covey, where I do coaching and consulting. And I have my own business. I'm the CEO of Destination Life, where I coach women, entrepreneurs, and leaders, really helping people get over the overwhelm and get a chance to reset, organize their life, and really catch a vision of what's possible, which is our topic for today.
I love it. So you just do a few things, okay?
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit.
That's what our sisters do. We tend to just do a few little things here.
One or two.
I love it. And when you were talking about the vision and your work and what you do, you mentioned ministry. So how does ministry fit into that?
Yeah, so definitely the board work that I do with my dance company has been ministry work. A lot of the work that we've done over the years for Signature Dance Company in Milwaukee has been about increasing the faith of others in, in God and belief in themselves and belief in their relationships with other people, because it is a combination of ministry, sisterhood, and dance. And so a lot of it has kind of like this big effect on them, besides not only their relationship with God, but just their relationship with other people and their relationship with the community and sisterhood. So that is a big play. And definitely the work that I do with Destination Life, although I don't always work with people that are faith-based, I definitely bring my faith to my work because I really am helping people see beyond what they can see and what I know God sees, right? I know that there is more for them. And sometimes we can all be in a space in our life where we just don't see that other part of us that, we might see when we're asleep at night or when we're staring at the ceiling, wondering like, why is this my life? I know that if you see it, it's possible.
I love it. So let's unpack, because I want to get into the topic, but it's so interesting because when I think about the name of your organization, Destination Life. So,
Yes.
how did that come about? That's new, that's different. I haven't heard that before. And, I have my own thoughts of what that means. But what does that mean, Destination Life?
Yeah, so probably like 2012 is when I started the LLC, and it came about because a lot of people would come to me and ask me to help them figure out what's next for them. I did a lot of career advising, career counseling back in the day for young people, college students, and even some adults with resume writing. So a lot of people naturally just came to me about those things. And then when I shifted, people still came to me about just trying to figure out what their next move is, whether it was entrepreneurship or if it was something for their own life. And so I used to feel like there is something to be said about every iteration of our life. There's something new that we want to pursue. And
Yeah.
so that's where the name kind of came from, because it's like, hey, the destination is life. The destination that we truly are after is life, is living, is doing what it is that we desire to do at whatever season in our lives, versus seeing the next thing as the only destination. So I felt like the destination is life. So that's where the name came from.
So I just want to say hello quick to our members on Facebook, everybody that's watching. Please go ahead, like, share, engage, comment. We have Jackie Davis on. So now let's talk about catching a vision of
Yes.
what's possible. We oftentimes have visions, or we have thoughts of what we want to do in life or where
Mm-hmm.
we should be in life. And it comes at different ages and at different stages. And sometimes it's the same vision, pulling and tugging, and sometimes it's a different vision. So
Mm-hmm.
how do you, okay, this is how I'm feeling right now. This is it. This is the vision. This is what I need to go after. So how do you know, one, that it's the actual vision for you?
Yeah.
And then two, when do you know it's time to take action?
Yeah. I think number one, to know that it's the one for you, if it's the one that is keeping you up at night. Sometimes it's the one that scares you the most that actually is what you ought to do. And sometimes the thing that it feels like every time you do start, the brakes get pumped a little bit, whether it's your internal brakes because of fear of rejection or fear of failure, or you've seen yourself not fully discover yourself in that space yet, or if other people have something to say about it, whatever the breaks that have been pumped around it. Sometimes I feel like that's how you know that that's the thing you ought to pursue. And I think the timing really is about us deciding that now is the time. Because, that's the one thing, especially when I talk to some of my clients, is that there's no such thing as perfect conditions.
Yeah.
We can find, there is ideal timing, right? And I feel like there is some divine timing, but I also feel like, God has given us the permission to create what we want to create. And sometimes we just got to be like, go do it. Sometimes he's like, I already gave you the space. Like, you just need to say yes. Like, and
Right.
I find that when we say yes, all the hows, everything that we need suddenly comes about because it was always present, but we weren't ready to say yes about it. And so I feel like the timing is whenever you're ready just to say yes, because the timing could be today. It could have been 10 years ago, but we just haven't decided to say yes fully to it.
Absolutely. I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking, one of the things, first of all, I like the way you said perfect timing. And a lot of times we get stuck in paralysis analysis, right? Which
Mm-hmm.
is really a cover up for fear because we're
Yes.
afraid. We're afraid of not being able to predict the outcome or not being able to know what's going to happen. And one of the things that I've been practicing lately, I'll say probably in like the last 6 to 12 months, is really being obedient to what
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing and being obedient to what I'm told, opposed to saying, oh no, I'll put that off or I'll do that later, or that's not what my calling is or my mission is.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a space that I'm in now. How do you feel about, really starting to become obedient and listen? Whether it's, some people will say, okay, well, I don't know if that's from God. I don't know if God is telling me that.
Yeah.
Some people might say, well, it's just me. But whoever it is, if you keep hearing it over and over again, and like
Mm-hmm.
you said, if it's keeping you up at night, to me, those are signs that yes, this is your calling and you do
Mm-hmm.
need to move forward. So
Mm-hmm. And I think, Monique, what you said was really good, because I think one part that kind of holds us back is the pain that may come with what we might not see right away, right? Like sometimes we have this vision like, okay, well, if I step out and do this, then if it's something entrepreneurial, I should be making 100K out the bat. Or if it's I want to write a book, it should come easy. Or if it's I want to switch jobs, like, well, why didn't I get the promotion yet? And so I think because we're so caught up in what done looks like and the timing that should happen in, that we feel like if we step out and we don't see it right away, then maybe it wasn't God, but how about maybe we didn't stick to it long enough? Like maybe that was for us to learn something. Like there's a risk in all of the things that we step out in.
Absolutely. So I just want to say we have one of our Facebook members is saying, yes, if the opportunity presents itself, it is from God. Be obedient to the call. We have blessings from Delaware. Hello, hello, Dr. Kishma. Thank you so much for joining us. So it is interesting because you say a vision of what's possible. And I think that's another thing, is being able to open up our minds, being able to open up our hearts of the possibility. So when I think about possibility, I think about also having the ability to have faith in what's possible. So if you coach your clients on moving forward in their vision and mission, do you tie in faith? And if so, how do you do that?
So the way I love to do it is thinking about the principle of being convinced. And so that's something I've been studying lately. So in the scripture, when we in the scripture where it talks about, if we pray and believe when we pray, if we receive, we shall have it. In one of the translations, it says, if we are convinced when we pray. And so I was like, oh, let me look up convinced. Like, this is good. This is the TPT, the Passion Translation. And so when we look up convinced, the definition of it on, dictionary.com is being certain of something. And I was like, oh, this is good. And my thought is that when we have this vision that we believe that, God has given us, that we have been filled with, that we feel like is ours, are we truly convinced? So that's the question I've asked myself, but that's the question I ask people, because if we are not truly convinced of what we say we believe, then we are only going to self-sabotage ourselves moving forward. Like sometimes we self-sabotage our prayers, we self-sabotage our daily lives because we say we believe, but there is still something tugging at us, even when, the Bible says, help me in my disbelief or help me in my unbelief, right? But there is something to be said, but when you're certain about something. And so this is something that happened to me recently that has been my kind of anchor on belief. I have a friend that I had to pick up from the airport, and I went to pick her up on the wrong day. Now, this is hilarious because I had never gone to the airport on the wrong day to pick someone up. But afterward, I was so convinced that this was the day that the Lord has made, right? This was the day I was supposed to pick her up. And I have been asking God, and it was so funny. I was like, God, teach me what it means to be convinced. Because I'm like, I want to really make sure that I'm convinced of the things that I believe you called me to do, or the things I know that I should be doing with my life. But I'm like, what does it look like to be convinced? Because sometimes when we don't see things in front of us, it's hard to be convinced. And that situation helped me know, because it's like, it was the wrong day, which is funny. But I was convinced. It was on my calendar. You couldn't tell me nothing different. Like, I went there, I sat and I waited. Took me a while before I actually questioned that it was the wrong day. But it made me think about how many times do we actually sit and wait and do the thing that we believe we should be doing, or even not even wait as if we're inactive, but how do we even wait actively? Like, have you truly done everything? So I was listening to a podcast. Rachel Rogers, she wrote the book, We Should All Be Millionaires. She has a podcast. And on her podcast, she talked about, have you really done everything? And I was like, this is good, because she was talking about Leslie Odom that was in Hamilton. He wrote a book, and his agent challenged him into this questioning about, have you really done everything you needed to do what it is that you say you want to do? And this is when he was like, no one knew his name. He was doing things. He hadn't been in Hamilton yet. And he was like, his agent was like, have you really done everything? And so I have to ask myself, like, if I was convinced that I was going to be successful in whatever God has called me to do, Have I truly done everything? Or as soon as I got a no, did I stop and whine and have a pity party? And it's okay to have those things because we get to feel our feelings, but did I get back up and try more or do more? Did I do the next step that God has told me to do? Or am I over here saying like, oh, that's it. It's not happening because I didn't see this yet.
Right. That
Says
is
no one.
when you were exactly when
Mm-hmm.
you were. So I had a question for you, but you actually answered the question, and my question was going to be the difference between belief, right, and the difference between, I want to say conviction, but
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't the word that you said. What's
Convinced is what I said. Yep,
right?
convinced.
Right, and being convinced, and you
Mm-hmm.
answer that question. And you said
Mm-hmm.
when you gave the example of going to the airport, that was convinced. So when you're convinced, you're actually taking action, right? You can believe something like, okay, I believe this is going to happen, but I
Mm-hmm.
might not be doing anything
Right.
for it to happen. But when you're convinced, you're actually moving in that thing. You're taking the action. So
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned something else that I wanted to touch on, and this is really interesting. I hope everyone is taking notes because there is so much under, like you've given so much already, and we've
Mm-hmm.
only been on for a few minutes. That belief and being convinced, I think, even for a lot of entrepreneurs, for a lot of
Mm-hmm.
professionals, if you take that advice in life, that will just propel you forward to another level and thinking about, are you really doing everything that you could be doing to meet those
Mm-hmm.
goals? So
Mm-hmm.
for the client or for the individual or for the person that comes to you and says, you know what, Desiree, I'm convinced that I can do this, right? I'm convinced
Yeah.
that I can be this millionaire. I'm convinced that I can launch this business, but I don't know what to do. You know,
Right.
what advice do you give them?
So I always love to get back to like real people back in because one thing that I find, especially in our society right now, is that we have a hard time knowing what success looks like for us because we are inundated with what other people have defined as success or what other people market to us what success should look like, right? And so I love to give people like, let's get out of the noise, right? Let's get out of all of what everybody's saying. What is success looks like to you? Because becoming a millionaire might be success to you, but it could look different. It doesn't mean you have to quit your job and be X, Y, and Z. You can do it so many different ways. There's so many streams of income that you can create to make it work for you. Or is launching a business truly what you want to do? Or is that what people have been saying for you to do? Like I just want people to get real clear, like what is your definition of success? I know some people that I work with in my full-time job, I work full-time and have a side hustle. I have a lot of colleagues that do the same. And some of them really enjoy their day job. And they're like, I don't want to quit my day job. I want to keep doing this and I want to do what I'm doing. And sometimes, the world can make us feel bad for feeling that way, but maybe that's your definition of success and you should be okay with that. So I mean, like, let's reel ourselves in. What is our definition of success? What do we feel like is our personal mission and vision for our life? How do we want to feel when we get to that end goal? What do we want it to look like and feel like? So I get there and then I'm like, okay, what is your first next step?
Mhm.
Basically, because I think things can feel very overwhelming. And, what I've learned as I've been in this entrepreneurial journey is just there's something about being a startup and just starting. And then there's, the word scale that kind of is out there like
Right.
scale, 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 scale. And
Right.
it's like it's a song.
It's
Somebody
like,
should
where
make a
are we scaling from? What are we?
this what I'm saying,
Yeah,
right?
exactly,
and
exactly.
and so but people, like little me at one point, like I was feeling like, yeah, scale, but it's like scale from what? I need to like take the time to build like everyone else. Like, and I do believe that you can get some momentum, and some people do have, like those big leaps. But I will say that it's the exception and not the rule. Like
Yes.
most people build over time. And yeah, you can get the right partnerships and all of that. But if you talk to some of these truly, millionaire people, and even the ones online, that if they told you their whole story, they made $1 million in 1 year, but they didn't start in the first year.
Right,
You know
right.
what I mean? Like they 7 years back. Like you don't know their story. Like everything led up to where they were. And I feel like, marketing can really have the whole world feeling like they're missing out on some get rich quick scheme. And it's not a get rich quick. They didn't get rich quick. They did a lot of things in their own personal life that led up to it. And it can it can 10x once you get the momentum going, but it's like, it's kind of like the tip of the iceberg. That's what we see in some of these people right now. And so I really like to give people back to like, what's your first next step? Let's focus on that, because get some momentum and being consistent with the first next step you have and staying consistent in that. Like, what is the first thing that you know God is telling you to do and you're feeling moved to do that you ain't been doing? Start there and be consistent.
You know what? And there are, because I think the story behind Heinz ketchup, right, is that how many different formulas did he mix together? Did the founder mix together before he finally got to Heinz ketchup? I think it was years and years and years. I mean, almost thousands of different formulas or mixtures that he did before he was able to get there. So you think about in the entrepreneurial journey, and even in terms of your vision and mission. So everything I feel that you end up being successful at, or everything that is successful has a journey, right? So it is, can we make it through that journey? Can we continue to be consistent through those lows, through the valleys, you know, when we're not at the peak yet? Can we continue to push and move forward? You know, really being in tune with, okay, this is my vision, this is my mission, this is my purpose. So you talked about the first steps in terms of what does success look like, and that's great because it does look different to different people. You know, some people are like, yes, it's all about making $1 million. You know, some people it's all about hitting that 6 figures immediately. When, if we want to be truthful, you know, data shows that most entrepreneurs, especially female entrepreneurs and Black entrepreneurs, make about 25,000 to 50,000 within their first year to 10 years in business. You know, and that is, I mean, that, you know, that's data driven. So can you live through those 25, those 10 years where you're only making 25,000 or 30,000? So, you know, success does look different. It's also in tune with wealth. You know, what does it look like? Is it actual money? Is it wellness for you? Is it a lifestyle? So when you are, so we talked about catching a vision, we talked about seeing what's possible, and we're doing really good with time. When you work with a client, what are, let's just say if you have a client that's being a little resistant in terms of, okay, yeah, you're telling me to do this, but I don't think I want to do this, or I don't think this is going to work. I've done this before. How do you deal with that resistance and getting them to move forward from that?
Yeah, I love that. So I actually like digging into the resistance, and so more of it's like, well, let's unpack that, right? Because before you said you wanted this, and now you're saying you don't want this, and so something has either changed, and we need to make some shifts in our direction. So I love to dig into, okay, so well, what has caused this change, and kind of see where someone is going there, and you know, like, is it okay for you now? Like, what's the cost of you changing your mind? And that, I feel like that's a really good question we can ask ourselves, like when we're in these seasons of our funk, because we're gonna get in our, we human beings, we're gonna be in our funk, we're gonna be in all our funk almost every day, same time, same place, same time, same place. We be like, every time I sit here,
same that place, right?
Exactly.
Right.
Every time I sit in this chair at this time, I start feeling like this. But I'm like, you know, what is the cost of you, you know, shifting your plan, you know, and can you feel okay with that cost? Because at the end of the day, I have to detach myself from my clients' results. And I know that that's a hard thing to do, especially with people that, you know, when you work with people, especially in service industry, you know, and even in product industry, it don't matter. Like if you're doing something for someone, you feel like kind of attached, like, oh, I want them to win. And it's like, I want you to win, but not at the expense of, because Desiree told me to do X.
Right.
And it didn't happen. I'm like, yo, you the one that's supposed to tell me what you want. So I'm like, and I'm here to support whatever you desire, but I need you to be sure that this is what you desire right now. And I'm going to help you walk through whatever that is. But I think knowing a client enough to know, is this their cycle of doubt? Because, you know, we all have a doubt cycle. We know what ours is. We can be on this hamster wheel, and our self-doubt cycle will come up, it haunts us again until we take a different action. And so if I know that my client is in their self-doubt season, like their cycle, I'm like, okay, this is typically when you start getting, shifty. Do
Right.
you notice this? And like, just try to help them notice it, because we got to figure out a way to get them to notice what is it that they're actually feeling, and how
Mhm.
can they identify what they are protecting themselves from. So for me, for instance, I have a self-doubt cycle. If I feel like I haven't gotten some of the results that I wanted in a while, I feel like I need to do something new.
Mhm.
I'm like, and sometimes that's not wrong, but I feel like that's a cycle for me. So I kind of pressure myself to be consistent.
Mhm.
Like, okay, Desiree, don't do anything new. Stay consistent for X amount of months. Like, you have to be consistent in this for X
Right.
amount of months before you make a shift, because you have no way of knowing if you just need to stay on the path a little longer. And if I could
Exactly.
honestly answer the question, did I do everything that
Mhm.
I said I was going to do to get X result? If the answer is no, I don't need to change nothing.
Right.
And so that's my cycle, and that's kind of like my conversation with myself.
Mhm.
And I notice the only reason I want to get squeamish about it is because I'm just nervous. But at the end of the day, I realize it's because I didn't do everything. And so it makes me feel like, oh, maybe I should do something else that I'll be more committed to. And it's like, no, get committed to this and stop playing.
Exactly. So what you said, what you told yourself, right, that you were gonna do, and I
Exactly.
totally get that. And that self-doubt cycle is so real. And like you said, and it can be, and it's not just for new entrepreneurs, and it's
Yeah.
not just for entrepreneurs that
Nope.
are making a certain amount. I mean, if we all go through those
Yes.
self-doubt cycles, the key is being able to, okay, go through the cycle and get out of the cycle and know that, okay,
Hmm.
let me move forward. But asking yourself, did I do everything that I said I was going to do? And did I
Yeah.
do everything that's needed? And then you
Yeah.
brought up something really key when you said there is I feel what I got from that is that, and I think you should write that down, our viewers, is that there could be a consequence in our shift, right? So there could
Hmm.
be a consequence in your shift. That's a hashtag. There could be
Yes.
a consequence in your shift. Really think about, is this the moment for me to shift, or is this the moment for me to continue to move forward with what my original plans were?
Yes, and you know what, Monique, the interesting thing, thank you for pointing that part out, because either way, it's a risk.
Yes,
You
yes,
know,
yes, yes. Yep.
and we got to be okay with that.
So let's talk about those risks really quick. Okay, because
Hmm.
let's talk about risk and the fear of risk, right? And
Yes.
how do we, how important is risk, first of all, in business and in life? Um,
Yeah.
I have in the comments, that's a hashtag and a t-shirt.
It really
I
is.
love that. There are consequences to my shift. That's a
There is consequences
hashtag
to my shift.
to my
Yes.
shift.
Listen, I'm gonna start using that too. That was
Yes,
good.
there are consequences to my shift. I love that. Yes,
Yes,
consequences to
yes.
my shift. Thank you so much, Jackie. Okay, Jackie Aidens put that in for us. I love that.
I love
So
it.
we were talking about, okay, I got so excited about the
I
hashtag.
know that was good though.
Right.
You said risk. You were talking about risk.
Yes. So we were talking about risk. So can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think, and this is a fear, whether it is entrepreneurship, whether it's finding a new job, any part of your life when you're deciding to do something different, it's going to be a risk. And so there's going to be consequences on either end, whether you stay the course or whether you decide to do something new. There's going to be consequences. I think what's really important is for us to have just a lot of self love
Yes.
and not to shame ourselves about whatever risk. And that's something I've definitely learned. And I think a lot of us, if you are a high achiever and you've always kind of like done things, or been a goal getter, whatever people want to call it, then you know that you made a lot of risks. And sometimes you haven't gotten that return on investment. So one thing that helps me, that regardless of what decision I made, I always ask myself, what did I learn from this? Or what could I learn from this?
Mhm.
Because I've made decisions that, like I didn't know I was going to get that outcome. I'm like, oh, okay, like that didn't turn out the way I thought it was going to turn out.
Right.
I've had webinars that nobody showed up to, or I've spent a lot of money on, different programs that nothing wrong with the program, but I didn't use it the way I thought I was going to use it. And I was just like, oh man, that didn't really turn out the way I thought it was going to be, even if it was a great teacher and a great experience and all of that. And so I had to ask myself, like, is it me? You know, like, am I in the way? What am I learning to do differently? You know, so I think asking yourself, you know, what is it that I can learn from this? And really just not shaming yourself, because I think we will never make a step. We will never take a step forward if we feel like we're always going to get the right answer. There's no such thing as the right answer. There are so many ways to make money. There's so many ways to live your life. Right. You know what I'm saying? There's so many ways to be great. There are some people that, you know, love doing, you know, service, you know, business work. And some people, they like, listen, I can care less about this. I'm going to do stuff that you ain't never going to see my face and know my voice. And I'm going to be making money and sitting on a palm tree. You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
So you can do things so many different ways. So I think the biggest thing is, you know, asking yourself what you can learn, whatever decision you make. And then just being gentle with yourself. Like, hey, you made a choice. Like, to me, I'm like, that's better than nothing else. Like, you made a choice. Like, you're doing something, and making that choice is better than never having made a choice in the first place. And you could never have learned anything from it. Like, people that are sitting afraid to allow things to happen are not living their life at all. They're living their life hoping that they can get perfect results. You're never going to get perfect results ever. I mean, even you said it, Monique, like whoever created Heinz ketchup, right? I'm sure that they had a whole lot of blocks and stuff that didn't go right. No person has done anything that has never experienced a challenge. So I think being okay with the fact that we're going to get no's, there are going to be things that don't work. There are going to be things that are going to have consequences. If we can not make it about our self-worth and just make it about it was a decision, you know, like I made a decision. And so it happened.
I want to say this, right? And we are, so our time is up, but I want to say this. If any of the viewers, if you got anything from this, one of the things that I got, Desiree, is that you are definitely the feel-good coach, right? Because it's like, you made a mistake. Okay, let me refer you to Desiree, okay?
Yes.
Feel better about yourself after you talk to Desiree for a couple of minutes here.
Exactly.
But it's so good to, you know, even hearing in the entrepreneur space, okay, you made a mistake. It's okay. Get up, let your knees off, keep on going. All right, you might have lost some money. You took some risks. That's what happens. That's going to happen. It might happen again, but there was a lesson in that mistake.
Yes.
So, all right, I got to put up your website. We need to know how everyone can get in touch with you. But before that, if you could leave our viewers with 3 tips on catching your vision, what would those tips be?
Yep. If you needed 3 tips to catch the vision, this is what I would say do. Spend some time alone in a quiet space. And so I know I'm talking to a lot of women, and you might have a family or a loud household, but I'm like, go in the bathroom, sit on the toilet, get in the tub, close the door, whatever you need to do. But get into a quiet space and give yourself permission to slow down. That has been my mantra from the year, is to slow down. And in that space, I want you to ask yourself a couple questions. And one of those questions is, what would my future self thank me for doing today? What would my future self thank me for doing today? So that is one question. Ooh, I feel like I should do that today, right? Let me go to the bathroom. So what would my future self thank me for doing today? The second one is something I mentioned a little earlier. What is the cost of me not doing X? You know, whatever thing that has been on your mind. And then the last one is like, what is one step I can take to start moving in that direction? All right. So future self, what would they thank me for? What is the cost? And what is one step that I can do today? So those are, I know you said 3 tips, but those are 3 questions in terms of,
those are good.
Yeah, I would definitely say that would help you kind of catch the vision. So that's the whole part in terms of like slowing down and having that conversation. You know, the next thing is that get around some people that are also having those conversations with themselves, like some people that won't let you talk yourself out of your good stuff, you know?
That's another hashtag.
I know, don't talk me out my good stuff.
That's another hashtag.
I'm going to use that one too. That's funny. Listen.
Right. Wait a minute. Okay, you have to say that again.
Yes. Get around some people that ain't gonna let you talk yourself out of your good stuff. Don't
Yes,
talk me out
yes.
of my good stuff.
Don't talk
And
me out of my good stuff. Hashtag that. Don't talk me out of my
don't
good
talk
stuff.
me out of
Okay.
my good
This is
stuff.
my
Not
good stuff.
today.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but get
I
around
love
some
that.
people that'll do that and help you. And then the last thing is consider what you already have in
Mhm.
terms of your skill set, in terms of the people that you have, like resources that you have around you that can help you continue to move forward. Because you're already going to, have those people. And when I say those people, it could be anybody. It could be friends, it can be coaches, it can be a community of people. You deem what that looks like for you that makes the most sense for you. Some people, do well when they just have one or two people.
Right.
Some people feel like they need a community to be around where they got a whole vibe going. So you figure out what makes the most sense for you. But I think it's really good to take inventory of your own skill set, of
Yeah.
what you have, so that you can know what you need, right? Because I really believe, in my book, Get Your Life Today, I talk about you have everything that you need. And so I
Hmm.
believe that you have everything that you need inside of you in terms of transferable skills. And you also have resources of people or people that know people, right? To get you where you need to go. I do feel like you have to realize if there is a skill gap after you've taken inventory, go spend money on that. Because I think sometimes
Exactly.
we feel like, or at least I'll say my little sad love song.
Hmm.
Like, when I wanted to to make the leap to do different things, I wanted to buy something that was going to do it for me. And maybe nobody else is like that. It's like, oh, okay, this person is saying that they help people do X, Y, and Z, or if I get this certification, if I get that. Now, I do have a lot of certifications. I'm a nerd, so I love learning. It is also a distraction for me. So that's my cycle. So I'll be like, Desiree, don't you buy that book, don't you buy that coaching program because you got it. But you have to take inventory because I think that that'll help you have some discipline about what you actually need versus what you already have. You know what I mean? Like there were some things I already had, and I think I was looking for someone to solve everything for me. And
Yeah.
it's really a journey. Like I think if we can be okay with knowing that whatever you pursue, whether it is losing weight, having better relationships, it doesn't matter. Whatever goal it is, we have to understand that everything has a journey. There's not going to be one thing that solves everything. And if we can get all that, we can really catch that vision of what's possible and get it.
Right. So that was absolutely excellent. I love, love, love that. And
Yay.
then you brought up, so you brought up some, I mean, you dropped a lot of gems. Let me just go ahead. You dropped the mic a couple of times.
Yeah, the
Like, okay, go
mic.
ahead, drop the mic. But the taking inventory is good for us also in this space,
Mm-hmm.
the coaches, the entrepreneurs, the authors, in terms of, because we're quick to say, okay, we need more and jump into a coaching program. But are we jumping into the coaching program because we want to learn how to, master that specific skill? Or for me, I've had experience where I know what to do, but I really want someone else to do it. So there's
Yes.
a difference. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
when it comes to
Yes.
marketing, right? Like you know what to do, but it's like, okay, I need someone else to take care of that, and I need someone else to do it. So this,
And Monique, and no, I know, look, we can go all day because I'm
I know,
like, but no, I wanted to add because no, that's good. Like, because there are some things we want other people to do, but if you haven't gotten to a place in your business or in your life where
mhm,
you can financially do that, you might regret your financial decision because it's not benefiting you right now.
right,
Mhm.
exactly, exactly, and really spending when you decide, because these programs are not inexpensive. I'm just going to put it like that. So when you invest in yourself, you really have to say, okay, I'm going to get a return on my investment.
Yes.
Everything I put in, I'm going to get out plus double. So I
Yes.
just wanted to mention some of the comments. We have
Yes.
this was really great, and it's great to hear it's okay to fail. Love
Mhm.
that. Yes to the quiet space. Don't talk me out of my good
Good
stuff.
stuff.
Yes, no, I love that. So that also means that there might be some opportunities, ladies, where you might have to either increase your circle
Mhm.
or decrease your circle. And whichever way it goes, and if it's both, it's okay. Okay, Desiree, how can we get in touch with you? How can we find you? And please tell us the name of your book.
Yeah, absolutely. So the name of my book is Get Your Life Today. 7 Success Hacks for Life Leadership in Business. And you can find that on Amazon, on Amazon.com. You can get that. You can find me on my website, but I'm also really active on LinkedIn, IG, and Facebook. My name is the same, Desiree Cocroft. So feel free to DM me. You can do that. On Instagram, if you go to my IG, you can go on my link tree, and you can find the link to my book, the link to my website. If you're interested in coaching with me, I have information about that on my link tree. So anything that you want to find about me, you can grab on my link tree, or you can go on my website. I also have a YouTube channel, so you
Yes,
can check
I was
me
gonna
out.
say that. Yes. With
Yes,
some
check me out on
motivation
YouTube.
and some inspiration, you can go. And I went on your YouTube channel. I was
Oh,
like,
thank
oh,
you
this
for
is
stalking
good.
me. Listen,
Yes, I started
good.
wondering. I was like, oh, I had listened to another one. This is good. So
Good.
thank you for that. I really, really enjoyed this conversation.
Me too.
Absolutely love for you to come back for a part 2,
I
another
would love to.
juicy topic. So yes, we have to do this again.
Yeah.
I want to thank everyone for tuning in. Thank you for being engaged. Thank you for your comments. Please like and share. You can also copy and paste the YouTube link and share it on any other social media platform. Desiree, thank you so much. Have
Thank
a
you.
great evening, everyone. And if you want to know more about Sisters Inspire Sisters, you can go to sistersinspiresisters.com. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.